Representative Tim Burchett responds to AARO's new website. Loeb offers his help to AARO. Jeremy Corbell tells Joe Rogan why the current age of UFO disclosure is not government disinfo, and more. It's time for another UFO News Roundup, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you would like to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, please consider becoming a channel member. See the first link in the description below. Okay, let's just get right to it. What is Loeb, Harvard professor, Galileo Project, Loeb, think of AARO?
So I first wanted to ask you about this shakeup in leadership at the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, where Deputy Secretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks will now oversee the office. Why do you think the Pentagon made this change?
Well, first, it's fantastic news because it means that it's a higher priority item for them, possibly because the Congress found some interesting information that was hidden from view until recently. And it means that it's a high priority, meaning that it either has national security implications or something that is of great interest to scientists. Maybe they have evidence for something that came from outside of this earth. Either way, it's a good development, and I hope that if it's the latter, if it has nothing to do with national security but more with science, that we will be given access to that information. Scientists like myself that work with open data, because I would be delighted to help government figure it out.
I'm sure the lovely Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick would welcome your help, Avi. Can you imagine the lovely Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick allowing Loeb and other mainstream scientists or scientists in the public purview to come into the AARO offices and kick the tires? I don't think so, but I love that idea. At any rate, Loeb is fairly optimistic about the situation, and he does even entertain the idea that Congress knows some stuff, right? And I think they do. I don't think that Chuck Schumer would be pushing UFO legislation if Congress didn't know some stuff the rest of us didn't know. But hey, that's just me. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, while Loeb is fairly optimistic about the situation, at least the move under Kathleen Hicks, Tim Burchett is not as optimistic about AARO's new website. Let's listen.
Start with the Pentagon launching that new website. It does provide some declassified information on UFOs, including pictures and video, so the public can take a look. Now, you've said about the Pentagon smells dollars. What do you mean by that?
Well, since 1947, the Pentagon has denied that UFOs even exist. And now all of a sudden they're saying they exist. And it's ironic that it's right after Chuck Schumer has said that he's going to put something in the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, to in fact screen photos that if they have any national defense or national security implications, that they won't be able to put them out. So what they've done is put another layer of government, more dollars. You know, the Pentagon loses $1 billion a year easily. They've never passed an audit. At some points, they've had 60% of their military of their assets unaccounted for. Anywhere else, and you'd be in handcuffs. What do we do with the Pentagon? We reward them with more tax dollars every year. So this, to me, shows nothing. Y'all as journalists and me as a congressman, I just want transparency. Yeah. I want them to release the files that they have.
And I know you've called for that over and over again.
So there you go. Tim Burchett is not as excited about the Schumer-Rounds Amendment or AARO, the new website, as Loeb seems to be. Tim Burchett is all about reducing the size of the government and more transparency. And I completely respect both positions. I think that he is right on there. The government is... Yeah, I'm not going to get into a whole speech, but yeah, the less government, the better at this point, as far as I'm concerned. But I think that, well, I, for one, have a more optimistic view of the Schumer-Rounds Amendment, while I see the pitfalls in it, and that it is very likely the establishment rearing its ugly head to steer the conversation. At least they're willing to have the conversation. And if we don't, if the Schumer-Rounds Amendment doesn't go through, we are not going to get some of the information that we would have otherwise gotten. Yeah, we're going to establish a gatekeeping committee to screen stuff, and to declassify stuff that that was mainstream enough for the public to handle. But at least they were going to show us some stuff. Tim just wants them to lay it all out there, and I do too, man, 100%. But that's not going to happen. So, the best we're going to get is this Schumer-Rounds amendment for the moment. So I am cautiously optimistic and supportive of it, although I completely understand his reservations, and I would add caveats that it needs to be sincerely done and not at the behest of the control group or other forces that are trying to keep the truth from the public. But he's right about AARO's website just being full of old stuff and, stuff they're going to try to debunk. I've already seen from one source that AARO is saying there's nothing anomalous about that strange sphere that was flying over the Middle East. You remember that video that was released a little while back and that was, claimed as a verifiable video? Now they're walking that back a little bit, or at least saying, hey, it's not a UFO, we just don't know what it is. Well, isn't that a UFO? The thing has no flight surfaces and no means of propulsion, but it's not anomalous in any way. So yeah, that's basically what I expect from AARO's website, and Tim is totally right about that. In more optimistic news, we have a new UFO disclosure initiative called DeclassifyUAP. Check this out. I think I was alerted to this from a tweet by Ross Coulthart. DeclassifyUAP is an American organization based in Baltimore, Maryland, that was founded by, exclusively funded through launch, and created by Nick Gold. The organization's founding principle is that the people broadly need to have a voice in the complex and potentially fragile process that is commonly and loosely referred to as government UAP or UFO disclosure. Specifically, a cohesive voice that is actively engaged with the government by means of our elected representatives throughout that process. A voice that is clearly articulating the public's interest and wants when it comes to the declassification of the U.S. government's secret information on UFOs that it has collected for at least 75 years. They're not just collecting it, my friend. They're flying UFOs, but I like your point. Anyway, I will link to this website and you can read it at your leisure, but hey, there is a new website, a new organization out there, even if it is only one man, that is trying to push this forward and get the public engaged in the disclosure process. I like it. Oh, and here's a cool dragon UFO that Dr. Robert Shipe sent me. Check this out. This is the LAPD helicopter getting tagged by a dragon. Remember, the dragon UFOs are those tiny UFOs that will buzz basically any airborne object. And Dr. Robert Shipe has made it his mission to catalog as many of these as he can and document this new emerging phenomenon. I'm sorry this thing is pausing, but anyway, it'll all be worth it. There you go. There's another one. Streaking right there. Isn't that cool? Check that out. Now, if you can debunk that as a bird or a bug, go ahead. I'm all ears. I'm open to learning the truth about these things, but to me, that does not look like a bird or a bug. But you be the judge. Let me know. I think that's a pretty cool sighting. But the dragons aren't done yet. Check that out. Look at that guy just boogieing on by. And there's another one. Look how fast they are. Look how slow the rotors are moving. Because these are, extremely slowed down speeds, obviously. That one's closer to the camera, so if any of you guys want to try to dissect that, please go ahead and let me know. In other news, Jeremy Corbell explains to Joe Rogan why UFO disclosure isn't disinformation.
There was an adult in the room. I wish that this was orchestrated through the media. It would give me some sort of hope that someone has some sort of control on this, and that has not been my experience.
What is your experience? Like, what's your impression of how it's all happening?
It's a big question. I don't know where to start on that, but here's what I know. I know that there are people in government that want some level of disclosure on whatever this is, without defining it. Just there should be oversight. So I know that to be true. There are good people that think that people are running amok and there must be oversight, not just financially, but if these types of technologies actually exist.
Right. Who's in control of them and why? And
Yeah.
who has access to them and why?
I mean, we have a history of disinformation and misinformation put out to the public and to Congress by the intelligence community, by the Pentagon. They lie all the time. It's part of the turf. It's part of the job. But for them to then go into closed door briefings with members of Congress, with the oversight committees who handle their budgets, for them to lie about that, that's another matter. And I don't think they would, because they could get busted for it. A lot of stuff is coming out now, and I know we get asked all the time, who's behind this push? You know, it looks like it's one big movement as opposed to a bunch of different things that all happened in approximately the same time. It's kind of been organic. Different people have come forward, and it encourages other people to come forward, as opposed to somebody doing a master manipulation of the whole thing.
Well, UFOs are clearly not disinformation, but that's not to say there isn't some disinformation that the government puts out related to UFOs. David Grush himself has talked about this. Now, is some of that information or disinformation is simply the government not acknowledging it and lying about it, saying it's not there. But I'm sure there are some whoppers thrown in there. Maybe some of the crazier stories out there are actually government disinformation designed to make all this look wacky. Or heck, some of the crazy stuff is probably true. I've experienced some of the crazy stuff myself, and I know that the phenomenon, not only is it real, but it gets pretty weird pretty fast. When I first started looking into UFOs, I thought it would make sense the more I investigated it, but the more I investigated the phenomenon of UFOs, the weirder things got. But you know, the cooler it got as well. But I would still like to understand what the heck is going on. I'd like to close with an old comment from James Fox, basically promising that if the Congress didn't deliver, he would.
And what many others are doing, we're meeting with the intel folks on the inside that have already gone to testify to AARO, which is run by Sean Kirkpatrick. That's the new U.A.P. task force. And they're going on camera with people like myself. And I've gotten a number of them on camera already. And they're disclosing not the classified parts, but what they've disclosed basically behind closed doors. In other words, I'm providing the names of the programs. I'm providing the names of the individuals involved with the programs, the locations of these programs. And in fact, if you get me the classifications, I can walk you in the door. Mm-hmm. So the clearances. So if the government is not going to release it, we're going to release this to the public so they'll know that this is going on.
Bring it, James. Bring it. The government is not releasing it. They are stonewalling, man. It is time for you guys to shine. Come forward. Bring your information forward, your videos, your witnesses, whatever you've got. It is time to rattle the cage. And, I salute your efforts thus far. James Fox is one of the best documentary filmmakers out there on the subject. I recommend The Phenomenon and Out of the Blue to just about anybody just now getting interested in this subject. And I know that he is sitting most likely on a wealth of really juicy stuff. And, if AARO is going to, stonewall, if Mike Turner is going to stonewall and prevent more UFO hearings, etc., well, it may be time to get a little jiggy with it. But that's just me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is it time to get jiggy with it? Is Tim Burchett right to be as pessimistic as he is? Is Avi Loeb as right to be as optimistic as he is? Is it all just a bunch of disinformation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. I would love to see you guys there. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, of course, there is always the option to become a channel member. Channel members are rock stars. I love you guys. Really. Thank you for your support. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos to check out on the channel, and I'll see you next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.